Welcome back to Everyday Insight Channel, the place where we unravel the complexities of our world and transform them into actionable insights. Today we're exploring a topic that impacts every aspect of our lives, whether we're online or offline: privacy. From the personal conversations we have in person to the digital footprints we leave behind, privacy is everywhere, and it's becoming harder to protect. What are the challenges we face, and how can we safeguard what's most important? Privacy, a word that once meant solitude, protection, and control. Today, in an age where our lives are intertwined with technology, privacy has taken on an entirely new meaning. It's no longer just about locking a door, it's about guarding the doors you didn't even know existed. Why this topic matters. We live in a world where every tap, click, and swipe is recorded. But how many of us truly understand what happens to that data? The digital age has made privacy both more critical and more fragile. Statistic: every day the world generates 2.5 quintillion bytes of data. Over 90% of the world's data has been created in just the last 2 years. What does privacy mean to you? Is it a fundamental right, or is it something you've already given away without realizing it? The scope of privacy. From what you can see to what you can't, privacy touches every part of our lives. But what are its key pillars? And what are the forces threatening it? One, what you actually see, the visible aspects of privacy, like settings and agreements. 2, core elements, transparency, control, and security as the foundation of privacy. 3, what is privacy? The evolving definition and its historical context. 4, challenges, from cybercrime to corporate exploitation. 5, how it starts, understanding how privacy breaches often begin. 6, what you can't see, uncovering the invisible systems tracking your every move. 7, profit motive, exploring how personal data is monetized. 8, consequences of breaches, the ripple effects of compromised privacy. 9, what you cannot control, identifying vulnerabilities beyond user control. 10, is prevention possible? Practical tools and collective actions to protect privacy. As we dive into these pillars, ask yourself, are you doing enough to safeguard your privacy, or have you left it in the hands of others? A historical context. Privacy has always been a cornerstone of freedom, but its challenges have changed over time. Let's take a brief look back. Let's explore how privacy has evolved from physical security in ancient times to digital security in the modern era. For example, there has been a shift from guarding tangible assets, like safes and property, to protecting intangible assets like data and identities. Framing the journey ahead. As technology advances, privacy becomes more elusive, but it's not gone, yet. Together, we'll uncover the truth behind the systems shaping our lives and explore how to take back control. We now have to balance between convenience and privacy in the digital age. Privacy is both a personal responsibility and a collective challenge. Stay with us as we unravel the mysteries of privacy, understand its pillars, and empower ourselves to navigate a world where information is power. Pillars of Privacy, Section 1, What You Actually See. Section 1, What You Actually See. Every time you send a message, share a photo, or purchase a product online, it feels simple. But what's happening in the background? What you see is only part of the story, a small piece of a much larger system. 1.1. The Visible and the Invisible. Let's start with a simple action, sending a text. You type a message, hit send, and it disappears. But behind the scenes, there's an entire journey you can't see. The journey begins on your device, where the message is encoded and sent to a server, often across different countries. Along the way, metadata, the who, when, and where of your message, is logged. Even if the message itself is encrypted, the surrounding details can still be tracked. Visuals depict how each action leaves digital fingerprints traveling through servers and systems. Did you know that Google processes 3.5 billion searches every day? Each search adds to a growing database about you, your habits, interests, and concerns. Deeper exploration. Metadata, often dismissed as unimportant, can reveal more about an individual than the content of the messages. For instance, a pattern of calls, texts, or searches can map out your daily routine, your location, and even your social circle. Employee example. Imagine an employee regularly texting during specific hours about upcoming projects. Even if the content is private, the frequency, timing, and recipients reveal significant details about their work schedule and role. This is the power of metadata. Think about the last message you sent. Even if no one reads it, how much of your life does it reveal just by existing? 1.2. Everyday examples. Think about this. You browse for a new pair of running shoes. Moments later, ads for those same shoes pop up on every website. Coincidence? Not quite. Every online action generates a data point. Websites use cookies to track your activity, not just what you click, but how long you stay, what you hover over, and when you leave. Over time, these data points become part of your digital profile. Example statistic. Around 85% of websites use trackers, and over 70% of people are unaware that trackers operate without visible warnings. More scenarios. Consider how smart TVs collect viewing habits or how fitness trackers log heart rates, steps, and sleep patterns. Even when these devices provide useful features, the data generated creates a comprehensive profile of your daily life. Is the convenience worth the cost of sharing intimate details of your life? 1.3. The cost of convenience. Free services feel convenient, but what's the real price you pay? Platforms like social media and search engines are free because you are the product. Your personal data, preferences, and behaviors are analyzed and sold to advertisers. Example. Here we compare two app experiences, a free app such as Facebook with heavy data tracking, and a paid app like Obsidian with minimal data collection. Takeaway. Convenience trades your privacy for simplicity. So, next time you click I agree, ask yourself, what are you really agreeing to? Additional example. Even smart devices like Amazon Echo or Google Home collect voice data to enhance their services. But this convenience comes at the cost of continuous surveillance. Broader implications. Think about facial recognition software in airports or public spaces. While it speeds up processes like boarding, it also creates a database of faces that could be misused or stolen in a breach. What do statistics tell us? By 2025, the global facial recognition market is expected to reach $12 billion, raising significant concerns about misuse and privacy. Pillars of Privacy, Section 2. What are the core elements? Section 2. What are the core elements? Privacy rests on three essential pillars: transparency, control, and security. Without them, our personal information becomes vulnerable. Let's break them down. 2.1 Transparency. Transparency is about knowing what data is collected and why. But when was the last time a privacy policy made that clear? Companies claim to offer transparency, but in reality, privacy policies are often long, confusing, and full of legal jargon. Example. Here we show real privacy policies and highlight sections with hidden data sharing terms. Case study. We analyze a well-known privacy policy such as Instagram's to show how transparent language can still obscure data sharing practices. Terms like partners and affiliates that imply third-party data use. For instance, many users may not realize their data is shared with advertisers to refine targeted marketing campaigns. Imagine this. You download a free weather app. Did you know that it might also be tracking your location 24/7 and selling that data to third parties? Would you call that transparency? Global perspective. Contrast privacy laws across different regions. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, in Europe is one of the strictest, requiring companies to provide clear consent mechanisms. In contrast, the U.S. has no federal privacy law, leading to varying levels of transparency depending on the company. Future outlook. Emerging trends in AI may further blur transparency. Machine learning algorithms often operate as black boxes, where even developers can't fully explain how data is processed. How will future regulations address this opacity? 2.2 Control means being able to manage your data, but do you truly have it? Control often feels like an illusion. Platforms bury opt-out options or make deleting data unnecessarily difficult. Example: Facebook's settings labyrinth versus a simplified data control tool. Many users have reported frustration when trying to delete their accounts or restrict data usage, as companies create barriers to discourage these actions. Illustration: contrast between clear, user-friendly privacy settings and ones designed to confuse or discourage users from opting out. Cultural considerations. Attitudes toward data control vary across cultures. For example, Germany places high importance on data sovereignty due to its history with state surveillance, while other regions may prioritize convenience over control. Technological barriers. Let's look at how cloud computing complicates control. Once data is uploaded, users lose physical custody, and it often resides in multiple locations. Even if one company deletes the data, backups may remain on external servers. Have you ever tried deleting an account only to find that your data still exists in some form? What does that say about control? 2.3 Security. Security is about protection, but even the strongest walls can crumble. Data breaches reveal the flaws in digital security. Even with encryption, that is a vital defense, real breaches such as like the Equifax incident, where sensitive financial data was exposed due to poor security measures, still occurred. Additional insight. Encryption tools like Signal ensure end-to-end protection for messages, but many platforms still store data in vulnerable ways. The risks are compounded when companies fail to patch vulnerabilities in their systems. Case study. Let's take a look at the Marriott International data breach, which exposed over 500 million guest records. Investigations revealed that hackers had accessed the system years before the breach was detected. Emerging threats. The rise of quantum computing has potential to break current encryption methods. Quantum computers can perform calculations exponentially faster than traditional computers, making today's encryption obsolete. We take a look at efforts to develop quantum-resistant encryption. How secure is secure enough? As threats evolve, will we ever truly be protected? Pillars of Privacy Section 3. What is privacy? Section 3. What is privacy? Privacy isn't new. It has been part of our lives for centuries, from locked diaries to encrypted emails. But what does privacy mean in today's digital world? 3.1. Privacy in the past. Centuries ago, privacy was physical: sealed letters, private conversations, and locked doors. Today, it's invisible, yet more vulnerable than ever. Privacy historically protected people's property, communications, and identity. Historical insights. Let's explore major milestones like the Fourth Amendment in the U.S. Constitution, which established the right to protection from unreasonable searches. Contrast this with modern interpretations of privacy in a digital world. Example: physical privacy tools such as safes and locked drawers were used to guard sensitive documents in the pre-digital era. How would historical societies react to today's digital landscape? Would they marvel at our connectivity or recoil at our lack of privacy? 3.2. Privacy today. In a digital age, privacy means control over your data. But is that even possible anymore? Today's technologies, from smartphones to smart homes, collect data constantly, often without explicit permission. Example statistic: smart devices generate 2.5 quintillion bytes of data daily, much of it personal. Challenges of modern privacy. Internet of Things, IoT, complicates privacy. Devices like smart refrigerators, doorbells, and thermostats continuously collect data, often without users fully understanding the extent of the monitoring. Example: fitness trackers not only monitor health metrics, but also share user activity levels with third-party apps and advertisers. What do you consider private? Is your definition of privacy changing as technology evolves? 3.3. Ethical and legal dimensions. What happens when privacy is violated? Should individuals have more legal power to protect their digital lives? Let's look into the ethical implications of data collection without consent. Current laws, such as GDPR in Europe, aim to protect user privacy but are often limited in scope. Example: past cases where companies faced legal action for mishandling user data, such as the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Emerging concepts. Introduce the concept of digital sovereignty, where individuals regain control of their data through decentralized platforms. Blockchain technology is being explored as a tool for ensuring data integrity and transparency. If you owned every piece of data about you, how would you choose to share it? Would your choices align with current practices? Understanding the history and present state of privacy is the first step in reclaiming it. Privacy isn't just a right, it's a responsibility. What will you do to protect yours? Pillars of Privacy Section 4. What are some of the challenges? Section 4. What are some of the challenges? The digital world is fraught with challenges to privacy. Cybercrime, corporate exploitation, and inconsistent laws make it increasingly difficult to protect our data. 4.1. Cybercrime hackers don't just steal data, they exploit it in ways that can cause long-term damage to your finances and reputation. Let's now dive into phishing scams, ransomware, and identity theft. Just a single compromised password can lead to devastating consequences. Example: a phishing attack where users are tricked into giving away login credentials, allowing hackers to access their bank accounts. Here's a step-by-step reenactment of a phishing email and how it manipulates the recipient. Additional insights. Ransomware attacks have increased in recent years, targeting both small businesses and large corporations. Let's look at the psychological impact on victims who often face financial ruin. Statistic: in 2022, ransomware attacks cost businesses over $20 billion worldwide, a number that continues to grow. 4.2. Corporate exploitation. Your data is a goldmine. Ever wondered why targeted ads seem so accurate? Companies know more about you than you realize. Corporations like Google and Facebook monetize data by building detailed consumer profiles. Now here is the ethical debate. Is it exploitation or business innovation? Example statistic: the global data brokerage industry is worth $200 billion annually. Let's look at the flow of data from user activity to ad targeting, demonstrating how every click feeds into a larger profile. Case study. Here's a real-world example of a company that was fined for unethical data collection practices. Facebook was fined an amount of $5 billion penalty in 2019 for privacy violations. When profits take precedence over privacy, what are the ethical boundaries? Should corporations be allowed to monetize our personal data without consent? 4.3. Regulation challenges. When your data crosses borders, who protects it? The answer is often unclear. There is the complexity of global privacy laws and the gaps between GDPR in Europe and weaker protections in other regions. A comparison of data protection standards between the EU and the US. Privacy laws are only as strong as their enforcement, and enforcement often lags behind technology. Global insight. Developing nations often have fewer resources to enforce data privacy laws, making them vulnerable to exploitation by multinational corporations. How can global cooperation improve privacy protections? Are we moving toward a unified set of digital rights? Conclusion. The challenges to privacy are multifaceted and evolving. Understanding the risks, from cybercrime to corporate exploitation, empowers individuals to make informed decisions about their digital lives. Pillars of privacy. Section 5. How does it start? Section 5. How does it start? A person installs an app and quickly clicks Agree without reading the privacy policy. Every privacy breach starts somewhere. Most begin with a click, one simple agreement that gives away more than you realize. 5.1. The illusion of consent. Think about the last app you installed. Did you read the privacy policy? Or did you scroll down and click Agree? Most of us do the latter, and that's where the trouble begins. Privacy agreements are designed to overwhelm users with legal language, making it easier for them to accept without understanding. Clauses that allow invasive data collection and tracking. Example: A fitness app tracking location and sharing data with advertisers without explicit user knowledge. Real-life consequences. Examples where users unknowingly agreed to invasive terms, such as apps collecting audio data or selling personal details to third parties. Statistic. A 2021 study found that 91% of users accept terms and conditions without reading them. What are you agreeing to when you click Accept? How much control are you unknowingly giving away? 5.2 Dark Patterns. Sometimes it's not just the terms of service, it's the design of the app itself, nudging you toward sharing more than you intended. Let's explore manipulative design tactics like pre-checked boxes, misleading language, and options hidden in hard-to-navigate menus. Example. A real-world example of a platform that defaults to maximum data sharing unless users opt out through multiple steps. Case study. Social media platform implemented dark patterns to retain user data. Finding the steps required to delete an account becomes a challenge. How often do you take the default settings as a convenience? Could those defaults be designed against your best interests? 5.3. The role of trust. Why do we trust companies with our data? Let's explore the psychology behind that trust. Branding, reputation, and user interface design create a sense of security that may not reflect reality. Let's look at examples of well-known companies that have violated user trust. Example, the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal, where data from millions of users was used for political manipulation without their knowledge. How do you decide which companies to trust? Are there red flags you might be missing? Conclusion. Privacy breaches often start with a single moment of trust or inattention. Understanding the tactics companies use and the consequences of those decisions empowers users to make more informed choices about their data. Pillars of privacy. Section 6. What you can't see, you don't know. Section 6. What you can't see, you don't know. So much of what happens with your data is invisible. Companies track, analyze, and store information you're not even aware you've shared. Let's bring those hidden processes into the light. 6.1 Hidden Trackers. Cookies, tracking pixels, and hidden scripts. These tools collect your data even on sites that seem secure. Let's look at the role of cookies and tracking pixels in online surveillance. Even seemingly benign websites embed multiple trackers that monitor user behavior. Trackers log location, time spent, clicks, and even device type. Example statistic. Over 90% of the top 1,000 websites deploy third-party trackers. Deeper insights. Let's look at how some trackers sync data across platforms, creating a complete profile of your online activities. The implications for targeted advertising and behavioral predictions. Do you ever wonder how ads seem to follow you across the web? Hidden trackers are the reason why. 6.2 Behavioral Analytics. It's not just about what you do, it's about how you do it. Every click, every pause, every scroll adds to your digital identity. Companies use machine learning to analyze browsing patterns and predict future actions. Behavioral analytics such as personalized recommendations and targeted ads. Case study. We look at the controversy around TikTok's algorithm, which collects extensive behavioral data to keep users engaged. Let's explore how this model raises privacy concerns while driving business success. TikTok tracks user activity down to the millisecond, creating one of the most detailed behavioral profiles in the industry. Are the conveniences of personalized experiences worth the trade-off in privacy? 6.3. Data aggregation and sharing. Your data doesn't just stay with one company. It's often shared, sold, and combined with other data sets. Companies aggregate data from multiple sources to create highly detailed user profiles. Let's look at the risks of data sharing agreements and third-party partnerships. Example: health apps share sensitive data with advertisers, revealing personal information users thought was private. Do you know where your data goes once it's collected? Would you approve of every hand it passes through? Conclusion. The hidden aspects of data collection shape our digital lives in ways we rarely notice. By uncovering these invisible processes, we can begin to ask critical questions about how our information is used and take steps to protect it. Pillars of Privacy Section 7. Is there a profit motive? Section 7. Is there a profit motive? Let's look at a flowchart that displays how data is collected, processed, and sold. It shows user activity leading to targeted ads and corporate profits. The answer is simple: yes, your data is worth billions. But how is it monetized and who benefits? 7.1. Data monetization. Every search, every post, every like, it all adds up to a profile of you. That profile is a product, and companies are eager to buy it. Companies aggregate and sell this user data to advertisers and data brokers. Let's look at the staggering revenue generated through data-driven advertising. Example statistic: digital advertising revenue in the U.S. reached over $200 billion in 2023, much of it fueled by personal data. Let's look at a timeline showing how user actions, like a Google search, turn into targeted ads. Deeper insight. Personal data is packaged into profiles segmented by demographics, interests, and purchasing habits. Companies like Facebook have built massive ad ecosystems based on this profiling. Example: consider the case of a mother searching for baby products. Within hours, her social media is flooded with ads for diapers, formula, and strollers. The value of her profile extends beyond products. It predicts long-term needs. 7.2. Ethical concerns. But is it ethical to profit from personal data without meaningful consent? Let's explore this gray area. Data monetization raises questions about user rights, informed consent, and corporate responsibility. Privacy violations occurred during the Cambridge Analytica scandal, where user data was exploited for political purposes. When profits take precedence over privacy, the lines between ethical business and exploitation blur. 7.3. Shadow economy of data. Beyond legitimate corporations, there's a shadow economy trading in your data. How does this work? Let's look at the black market for stolen data, from credit card numbers to medical records. Ransomware groups and hackers profit from breaches. Example statistic: in 2022, stolen personal data accounted for $6 trillion in economic losses globally. Do you own your data? Many believe they do, but corporations argue that by signing agreements, users transfer ownership rights. Conclusion. The monetization of data is a complex issue. While it drives innovation and free services, it also creates ethical dilemmas. As consumers, understanding this profit motive is key to making informed decisions about our privacy. Pillars of privacy. Section 8. What are the potential consequences for breaches? Section 8. What are the potential consequences for breaches? When privacy is breached, the consequences can be devastating. Let's examine what's at stake. 8.1 Personal impact. Imagine waking up to find your bank account emptied or your social media hijacked. This isn't fiction, it's reality for millions. Let's dive into the personal consequences of data breaches, including identity theft, financial fraud, emotional distress, and reputational damage. Example statistic. Identity theft affected over 16 million people in the U.S. in 2022, costing victims billions. Let's look at a victim discovering their stolen identity and struggling to recover. Real-life examples. Let's explore breaches like Target, 2013, where 40 million credit card numbers were stolen, and Yahoo, 2014, affecting 3 billion accounts. Here are the cascading effects of these breaches on consumers, from credit card cancellations to emotional distress over compromised data. 8.2 Corporate accountability. But what about the companies that lose your data? Do they face consequences? Companies often face minimal penalties compared to the damage caused. Let's look at high-profile breaches such as Equifax and the limited fines they received. The Equifax breach exposed data of 147 million people, yet the company paid just $700 million in fines. When companies lose your data, should fines be enough? What about stronger regulations or compensations for victims? 8.3 Societal impacts. Beyond individuals, breaches affect entire systems. Let's explore how. Let's look at how breaches erode trust in institutions, disrupt economies, and expose vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure. Example: the 2020 SolarWinds breach, which infiltrated government agencies and major corporations, showed how interconnected systems amplify the risks. Can we trust digital systems when breaches become inevitable? What safeguards must we demand? Conclusion. Privacy breaches are more than inconveniences. They are transformative events that reshape lives and industries. Understanding these impacts highlights the urgency of stronger protections. Pillars of Privacy, Section 9, What you cannot control. Section 9, What you cannot control. Here's a map showing data moving across borders from one server to another, emphasizing the lack of user control. Even with vigilance, some aspects of privacy are beyond your control. Let's uncover these hidden vulnerabilities. 9.1 Global jurisdictions. Where does your data go when it leaves your device? Often, it crosses borders into countries with different privacy laws. Data stored in foreign servers is subject to varying regulations. Let's look at the risks of outsourcing data storage to countries with weaker protections. Example: The Patriot Act allows U.S. authorities to access data stored by American companies, even if the data resides in other countries. Here is a flowchart showing data transfer pathways, emphasizing international vulnerabilities. Case study. Let's explore the implications of cross-border data transfers with examples like TikTok, which faced scrutiny over its data practices and potential access by foreign governments. 9.2 Insider Threats. It's not just external hackers. What about the people inside companies handling your data? Let's take a look at the risks posed by rogue employees or negligent practices. Here's examples of insiders stealing or mishandling sensitive information. Example: a real-world case of an employee leaking customer data before leaving their job. When trust is placed in individuals, what safeguards ensure they don't abuse it? 9.3 Hidden surveillance. Beyond companies, what about governments? How much control do you have over mass surveillance? Let's dive into how government surveillance programs such as PRISM collect data on citizens without their knowledge or consent. Here we take a look at how encrypted communications can be intercepted. Example statistic: as of 2022, over 60% of global internet traffic is monitored by government programs. If surveillance is the norm, how can privacy exist? What compromises are we willing to accept? Conclusion. While personal habits and tools can enhance privacy, some factors remain uncontrollable. Recognizing these limits is essential to advocate for systemic change. Pillars of Privacy, Section 10, is prevention possible? Section 10, is prevention possible? Here's an individual using secure apps, updating privacy settings, and employing digital safety practices. While no system is foolproof, there are steps you can take to protect yourself. Let's explore how you can reclaim control over your privacy. 10.1 Practical Tools. The right tools can make a big difference. Let's start with some essentials. Here's an overview of tools like VPNs, password managers, privacy-focused browsers, and encrypted messaging apps. Example: a step-by-step guide to enabling two-factor authentication on popular platforms. Let's take a look at how VPNs mask user location and secure data. Tool recommendation: use trusted tools like Signal for encrypted messaging, Brave for secure browsing, and LastPass for password management. Always make sure you research tools first before use to avoid those with hidden vulnerabilities. 10.2 Daily Habits. Small changes in your daily habits can go a long way. Here's how to start. Let's take a look at actionable tips, such as reviewing app permissions, limiting social media oversharing, and regularly updating software. Example: disabling unnecessary app permissions like location tracking on a smartphone. When was the last time you checked your app permissions? What might they reveal? Behavioral adjustments. Let's look at how minimizing the use of free services that monetize user data can reduce exposure. Encourage viewers to opt for paid, privacy-focused alternatives when possible. 10.3 Advocacy and awareness. Protecting privacy isn't just personal, it's collective. Advocacy matters. Individuals can support stronger privacy laws by joining campaigns, supporting privacy-first companies, and staying informed. Example: efforts like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and initiatives to expand GDPR-like protections globally. Future technologies. Emerging innovations in privacy, such as decentralized systems like blockchain, and how they aim to give users more control over their data. Example: decentralized identity solutions could allow users to verify credentials without sharing unnecessary personal information. Conclusion. Prevention starts with awareness. Equip yourself with the tools and habits to protect your privacy, and join the movement for a safer digital future. Pillars of privacy. We've traveled through the intricate maze of privacy, its pillars, challenges, and the actions we can take to protect it. But what comes next is up to all of us. Summarizing the journey. From the visible to the invisible, we've uncovered the forces shaping our digital lives. So, what have we learned? Let's recap the key sections. What you see, the tangible aspects of privacy settings and policies. Core elements, transparency, control, and security as the foundation of privacy. Challenges and risks, the external and internal threats to our privacy. Practical solutions, tools, habits, and advocacy to safeguard personal information. How has your understanding of privacy changed? Are you ready to take the next steps in protecting what's yours? The broader implications. Privacy is more than a personal right. It's a cornerstone of freedom and democracy. Let's look at the societal importance of privacy, including its role in protecting freedom of expression, preventing exploitation, and fostering trust in digital systems. Example. Here are some historical examples where a lack of privacy led to oppression or misuse of power. In a world where data is power, how do we ensure it's used responsibly? Privacy isn't just a concept, it's a practice. It's a choice we make every day. Let's explore actionable steps. Review and update your privacy settings regularly. Advocate for stronger privacy protections and support privacy-first companies. Stay informed about new technologies and how they impact your privacy. What will you do to protect your privacy today? Start small, think big, and remember, every action counts. The road to privacy may seem daunting, but together we can navigate it. Let's take a look at the resilience of individuals and communities in adapting to new challenges. There is the potential of technology to enhance privacy when used responsibly. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the pillars of privacy. The future of privacy starts with you. Pillars of privacy. Preview topics for future videos. Introduction to the previews. Privacy is a vast and ever-evolving topic. While today's video covered the foundational pillars, there's so much more to explore. Here's a glimpse into the pressing issues, intriguing questions, and cutting-edge technologies we'll dive into in future episodes. Preview 1. The Psychology of Privacy. How does our perception of privacy shape our behavior? And why do so many of us trade it away so easily? Key points. The illusion of security. Explore why users often feel safe online despite glaring vulnerabilities. Behavioral economics of privacy. Understand how convenience, peer pressure, and marketing tactics drive decisions to share personal data. Cognitive overload. Examine how the complexity of privacy policies deters informed decision-making. When was the last time you truly thought about what you're sharing online? What's the price of convenience versus control? Additional insights. How societal norms and cultural attitudes influence the level of privacy people expect and demand. Historical parallels. Let's compare today's digital consent dilemmas with past eras where privacy was compromised due to societal pressures. Case study. Let's take a real-life example of psychological manipulation through dark patterns like default data sharing settings. Preview 2. The role of big tech in shaping privacy norms. The companies that power our digital lives also dictate the rules of privacy. But who holds them accountable? Key points. Corporate influence on global privacy laws. How lobbying efforts by tech giants shape legislation. Differentiated privacy models. Apple's privacy-focused approach versus Google's ad-centric model. The ethics of data monopolies. Is it ethical for a handful of companies to control the vast majority of user data? Case study. Let's analyze the controversies surrounding Meta, formerly Facebook, and how its data practices have influenced global privacy conversations. Should companies have the power to set privacy norms? Or is it time for stronger regulations? Additional insights. The rise of data localization laws. How countries are forcing big tech companies to store data within their borders. Open source alternatives. Can decentralized and community-driven tech platforms compete with big tech? Let's look at a comparison chart of privacy-focused companies versus those heavily reliant on ad revenue. Debate segment. We explore arguments for and against the concentration of user data in the hands of tech giants. Preview 3. Privacy in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing industries, but it's also redefining privacy. What does this mean for the future? Key points. AI-driven surveillance. How facial recognition and predictive analytics are being used and misused globally. Bias in AI models. How the data fed into AI systems can perpetuate discrimination and privacy violations. The future of consent in AI interactions. Should AI systems require explicit user permission before collecting data? As AI evolves, are we prepared for its privacy implications? What safeguards must we demand? Additional insights. The role of explainable AI, XAI. How making AI decisions more transparent can protect privacy. Predictive policing. Ethical dilemmas surrounding the use of AI to forecast criminal activity. Here is a flowchart showing how AI processes user data to create behavioral predictions. Case study. Let's dive into AI's impact on healthcare, where patient data is used for predictive analysis, often without explicit consent. Future implications. Explore advancements like AI-driven personal assistants and how they may handle sensitive personal information in the future. Preview 4. The Internet of Things, IoT, and privacy risks. A smart home environment comes to life, with interconnected devices like smart speakers, cameras, and thermostats communicating. From smart homes to wearable tech, the Internet of Things is growing. But what are the hidden costs of this connectivity? Key points. Data leakage in IoT devices. How poorly secured devices can serve as entry points for hackers. Eavesdropping technology. The risks of voice assistants like Alexa and Siri constantly listening. Privacy in public spaces. The rise of smart cities and the challenges of balancing security with individual rights. Case study. Let's explore high-profile breaches of IoT systems, such as compromised baby monitors or hacked home security systems. In a connected world, how do we disconnect our private lives from constant surveillance? Additional insights. Standards for IoT device security. What regulations are needed to protect consumers? Here is an infographic showing how data flows between IoT devices, cloud storage, and third-party services. Future segment. We discuss potential advancements in IoT privacy measures, like decentralized networks. What's in your smart home? Have you reviewed its privacy settings recently? Preview 5. The Dark Web and Data Exploitation. The dark web is where stolen data finds new life. But how does this hidden economy affect us all? Key points. Anatomy of the dark web. Understanding how stolen data is traded and monetized. Ransomware as a service. The rise of accessible tools for launching attacks. Protecting against data exploitation. How individuals and organizations can reduce exposure. What happens to your data after a breach? And how can you protect yourself from these hidden threats? Additional insights. The ethics of hacking. When is cyber intrusion justified, if ever? Global efforts to combat the dark web. International coalitions targeting cybercrime. Let's take a look at this diagram of how ransomware is deployed and monetized on the dark web. Imagine a day in the life of a person whose data has been exploited on the dark web. Future trends. What advancements are being made in tracing and dismantling dark web marketplaces? Preview 6. Privacy and the Blockchain Revolution. Blockchain technology promises security and transparency, but can it truly safeguard privacy? Key points. Decentralized identity systems. How blockchain could give users control over their digital identities. Transparent yet anonymous. The paradox of blockchain's open ledger. Blockchain's role in smart contracts, ensuring data integrity and automated agreements. Could blockchain be the key to restoring digital privacy, or will it introduce new vulnerabilities? Additional insights. Use cases in healthcare. How blockchain could protect patient records. Let's take a side-by-side comparison of traditional versus blockchain-based identity management. Discussion segment. Consider the role of blockchain in future privacy-focused technologies. Potential risks. Explore how blockchain's permanence might conflict with privacy laws like GDPR's right to be forgotten. These are just a few of the pressing questions we'll tackle in our upcoming episodes. Privacy is a journey, and we're just getting started. Subscribe to Everyday Insight channel to stay informed and empowered.